You do. So, all right. So today we're going to work on the horse. I'm going to be using burnt umber, black, any black. This is ivory black, burnt sienna, and white. This is a white mixed with a bit of titanium buff, but white is fine, just white. Okay, so I'm going to start with the head, or actually from the ears. So I'm going to zoom in and see how it goes. All right, same brushes, same flat or bright, and one round and a small round for detail. A smaller brush. All right, we're going to start from the ears up. So I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to take burnt umber. Let's put a bit of black in the burnt umber, just a bit, and then start with this side. I'm going to take just burnt umber, no black. And let's put a bit of white in that burnt umber, touch of white. I will highlight more later on. This is not the highlight. This is just to give me, it shows me where the light is hitting. But it's going to be more highlighting later on. Okay. All right, another one. This one doesn't need any black now, just burnt umber, no black. Actually, burnt umber and a bit of burnt sienna in my burnt umber. Touch of burnt sienna. Let's take more burnt sienna, just burnt sienna, and put it in here. So I'm switching, going back from just burnt umber to burnt sienna. Mixing them. This is just the first layer, so I'm just putting the colors I need. I'm adjusting this one here because it turned out it's drying too dark. That one. Okay, now let's take burnt umber. Wet my brush. And I'm going to do this. It's very soft brush stroke. Let's take a bit of black, mix it with burnt umber, come to this side. That's why sometimes it's easier to start with a black gesso surface, black surface, than just white in a case like this. Okay. I'm not sure I'm going to put part of this saddle on. This part here, I might remove it. Not, it's just too much detail for this area here, and it's not necessary. Now, let's go back. I'm just putting the first layer. Let's go back to brown, burnt umber. All of this area, I'm going to work on the head only for now. So I'm just going to put the colors that I see in the reference. So I'm just grabbing now burnt umber. And the more I go down, I'm going to be switching slowly to burnt sienna. Now I'm going to take burnt sienna, mix it here. Try to blend a bit some of the burnt sienna with the burnt umber. It will all make sense and it will all look better once we start highlighting. Burnt sienna. Take a bit of burnt umber and add it here. You can hardly see the difference right now. But once we start highlighting, you'll see it. Burnt sienna, just burnt sienna now, nothing else. See, I'm switching back and forth between burnt sienna, adding a little bit burnt umber, a little bit of more burnt umber now, down here. Now burnt sienna again. Okay, let's leave it like that. So no harsh lines here, just a little bit of paint. So when we get back to it, to continue this part, there won't be a harsh line. Now let's go back to here. Come back to here. Let's take black and burnt umber and work on this area. Now down here, I will be highlighting all of this. Okay, that's good. There we go. All right, I'm gonna pause for a minute and then we'll come back to it. All right, let's try to highlight now. I'm going to start from the ear down up here. There's a strong highlight in there. So what I have here now is white, yellow ochre, burnt umber, black, and burnt sienna. The reason I have yellow ochre is that if I highlight with white only, if I highlight burnt umber and burnt sienna with white only, it will turn into an off-white or into a pink. So to stop the paint from the color from turning into off-white and pink, I'm going to add a bit of yellow ochre in my white. This way it will tone down the white and it will keep the color from turning into an off-white. So let's take one here, and that's burnt umber. I'm just going to take it like that. Grab some yellow ochre. Yellow ochre is a yellow, an earthy yellow. So it's good for highlighting, and it's color of the sun too. It's yellow, but it's earthy. Now this is mid-tone, so I'm not highlighting with a strong highlights yet, not yet. I will do this shortly. I'm just right now, what I'm trying to do is kind of finding exactly where the highlight is and trying to put the color in there. This is a good color for a highlight. Let's take a bit of brown. And give the horse, give this part a bit of highlight. It's the hair. Again, I'm gonna let it dry and then I'll figure out or add some more highlights. Okay, now here, back to this color, I'm gonna highlight this part of the face of the head, the horse. Let it dry a bit. Now, let's take some black. White. I will go back with the darks in a minute. And adjust all of these highlights. Let's take a bit of a darker gray. Some browns, black. Push that highlight up a bit. I went down too much. Further down. And also, I'm going to push the hair up here because I went again too far. Here how burnt sienna and yellow ochre, the yellow ochre is light, but it's not pink. It doesn't, burnt sienna and yellow, yeah, it doesn't turn pink because of the yellow ochre. Okay, let's take again. Some burnt umber. Come back here. Soften between the gray and the dark and the brown. Take white. Now it's going to start highlighting stronger here. It's going to dry darker. It should be a very light gray. Darken my gray a bit. See, it's turning dark. It's drying dark, which is fine. I'm going to be highlighting. I'm going to be adjusting the highlight anyway. This part of the face is going to take most of the work because there's a strong highlight. Let's take some yellow ochre. Some brown. Now, let's go back to dark gray and just apply some of the dark gray here. I'm going to be highlighting again more in a minute. So this is acrylics, it dries darker, so we always have to go back and forth and adjust the value. Okay, now again, some white. Now, all of this part here needs to be highlighted as well. So I'm going to start going to this part and start adding a bit of burnt sienna. A little bit darker down here with burnt umber. I'm going to go back with the burnt sienna in a minute. Let's go back to burnt sienna and let's put some of the yellow ochre in my burnt sienna. A little bit of burnt umber and soften this. Soften the transition from dark to light. A bit of white, put it here. And highlight this part. Big white. It will dry darker, and if it doesn't, I can always glaze it. Some gray in here. It's getting better. This area needs some blending, some nice kind of soft blending. Not too much though. I'm not gonna be spending a lot of time here, but I just want to make sure that I get the highlights right, and then simplify a bit the detail that I'm seeing in the reference. There's a strong yellow ochre that I'm seeing in here in the original. Yellow ochre and white. That's what I'm doing. Just putting yellow ochre and white. I'll go back to his eye. And put a tiny bit of gray on one side. That's is fine. All right, moving down. That's gray. So black and white. Dark gray first. Then I'm gonna start highlighting my gray a bit, slowly, adding white. All right. This is just playing around with different values here of the gray. Take some white, mix it with my gray, so make a light gray. And highlight slowly, bottom part a bit of the mouth. A little bit around the nose, right here, and down here. And then a strong, strong highlight, like a light, light gray, from here to down here. I take some dark gray and add the nose, put the nose in. I always go back and adjust because when it dries, when the paint dries, it gives me a better, I can adjust it better, adjust the value back, when the paint is dry. So I always go back to it and adjust the value. Right, so now here, let's go back and give it a bit of more highlight. And now, other ear. It's a strong yellowish highlight in here. So I'm using yellow ochre and white. And then I'm going to take burnt sienna, put it in that yellow ochre and white, and highlight the side of the ear. Yellow ochre. I mean, burnt sienna with yellow ochre and white. This is dry, so I can adjust a bit. Should be okay. Once we put the strap behind his ear, it'll look better. And actually, there is one part that needs to be, will shape the ear. So I'm going to do a bit of negative painting to shape the ear. I'm going to use some of his hair in the back. And a bit of that hair again, combination of black and brown, and push some of this hair this way. Let's take a break. After this. Okay, let's fix the head a bit, simplify it. I'm gonna take gray and white, because the way it is right now, it's not 100% done. This is good for the first, this is gray, black and white. I'm gonna simplify this a bit and simplify the colors and simplify the transition of colors. Let's go take a bit of gray. It's like a dry brush and a bit more white. Very simple. Let's take a bit of burnt sienna mixed with my gray and just put a bit here. I'm going to highlight this part again. It's drying really dark. That's better. Much, much better. Put here. Okay. Now let's work on this. There's a patches here. So I'm going to be simplifying this part. This burnt umber, burnt sienna. Take some yellow ochre with my burnt sienna at this point, and just with a dry brush, instead of having patches, that's better. Much better. Okay. This is okay. Let's move on to this part. Wider brush, burnt umber, burnt sienna. I will put his hair over this once it's dry. This is just brown, burnt umber, burnt sienna. I'm going to take some burnt sienna, put it here. So this is what I'm putting right now is a mixture of burnt sienna and burnt umber. And actually, I'm going to make sure this is not, doesn't end up in a, doesn't stop or it's in a harsh line. There's no harsh lines. I'm going to take burnt sienna at this point and add this burnt sienna right here where I see again, take burnt sienna, put it here. Mix some, again, some of the burnt umber with the burnt sienna so we don't have patches. With the corner of my brush, I'm just blending, soft blending. Corner of the brush. I have to be very careful because I'm overlapping colors and they're wet. So if I'm not careful, I'm gonna end up with lifting the colors underneath. Okay, good. All right. I think this needs to be a slightly on an angle. This little dip here of dark should be like this. On a slight angle. That's better. Okay. So now I've done this, all I have to do is actually highlight this part. So I'm going to take my yellow ochre, dip it in burnt sienna, and come here, start highlighting this part. There's a strong highlight in here. Okay, I will highlight this again in a minute and let it dry for now. It's good. Right, again, more yellow ochre, bit of burnt sienna, and I'm gonna come here and highlight this part. And down here. Right, again, a little bit more. This is drying, and it's drying darker. So I'm going to take a bit of more yellow ochre and just add a strong highlight here. And then down here or up here. It's good. Let's just finish this upper part and we'll be done for this week. I'm going to take burnt umber, mix it with burnt sienna, and I'm just going to come here and then just continue working on this part. So much happening in here, so simplify. I'm going to simplify this too. Just remove all of that. There's a rope in here. Probably keep that one. Keep the rope. But I'm going to go over all of this, and then I can add whatever I want after. Let's take some brown. Just a matter of I'm just using brown and burnt sienna. First layer. This is just the first layer. We're going to be working on this next week. I'm just trying to cover the canvas. Again, other leg. I think this leg needs to be a little bit wider. There's a hump in here. Oops, it's too much. Okay, some fixing needs to be done here, but I'll do it later. Okay, so this is good for this week. Okay, so this is how it looks for this week. Next week, we'll continue working on the horse.